Merry Christmas, everybody, and today we're doing the bet pick, as we call it, where we each pick a film, and then our random choice generator decides which is going to be our fifth choice in this Christmas marathon. And hey, quite fitting, because today we're doing the very next film in the James Bond series that we did the other day. Welcome to 1969's On Her Majesty's Secret Service. This was the first Bond film, and last, as it turned out, to star George Lazenby in the title role. We already went into extensive depth last time about why Sean Connery left the role, so they needed a replacement. And who better to play James Bond, the quintessential English spy, than an Australian model of biscuits?
The thing also is that George Laserdisc had a contract of 7 years, 7 movies to be made, so they were hoping for him to be in the long run. Unfortunately, his agent was kind of a moron and told him, no. After this movie, drop it off because movies about hippie themes are the new in vogue theme, and you better just stick with those. The end result, George Lazenby was basically dragged into a bunch of bomb after bomb after bomb of the hippie-themed movies, and resents the fact that he left the role too early. Alas.
As a result of his single portrayal of Bond, and pretty much his lack of success in almost any other thing, and not to mention he is far from the favorite Bond ever played, this has resulted in his name being used as a metaphor for forgettable or unremarkable acting efforts in other entertainment franchises. Like, look, sometimes fame is not worth it, and God help me if my name becomes literally a metaphor for failure and fading into the void, essentially.
Alright then, I guess it's best we actually get on with the movie then, Dave. So where should we start?
Start just before the MGM logo in 3, 2, 1, click.
So from what I can understand, by all means, Lazenby should have come back since the movie did gross well, budget $7 million, box office $82 million.
It was literally in his contract. I get he broke it on his own instead of actually having the studio receipt it.
Well, from what I heard, he never signed that 7-picture deal in the first place. He signed up like this one movie, and then later on.
Okay,
and then,
we need to talk about this.
Here is the worst put together gun barrel ever.
The music is still by John Barry.
The
music is still by John Barry, but if you hear something different, it's because this particular movie, while having a memorable leitmotif, the instrumentation, the Bond franchise is dragged, kicking and screaming into the late 60s, early 70s synthmania.
The gun barrel's really poorly put together. It's completely out of sync. When the barrel's supposed to stop, Lazenby just keeps walking in place.
Also, that's it. Usually we get a fantastic intro following up that. And also, slight little nitpick, but when the blood overcomes the silhouette that we're watching Bond through, if I recall correctly, usually we still see him. It's not like they color in the thing to cover him before.
Well, the filmmaker's trying to tell us something.
Tio, Dwibs, you guys are more the Bond experts, so is this movie in particular... Okay, was this movie hated when it came out, and is it hated nowadays?
It got a mixed reception back in the day. Nowadays, quite a few consider it to be one of the highlights of the Bond series.
If anything, it's one of the more referenced Bond movies, believe it or not.
I'm guessing the skiing thing that you usually see in Bond parodies came from it.
Yeah. So yeah,
Also,
this is how we're introduced with the new Bond in a Blues Brothers kind of way.
So the irony seems to be that in spite of this apparently being one of the better regarded Bond movies, it has what many consider to be one of, if not the most unremarkable Bond actor, apparently.
Yeah, we'll get more into it as we go. Basically, the director of this movie is Peter Hunt, who was an editor on all the other Bond movies prior to this point, and this was his reward for practically saving You Only Live Twice in the editing room, the director's gig.
Oh, that seems fair enough.
And the actual, although fun fact, the editor for this movie, John Glenn, he too would go on to become a director of the Bond films. He directed all the 80s installments.
Were they good?
Well, you'll have to see eventually.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So yeah, that's
Okay.
Diana Rigg's character, who's not in the best headspace at the moment.
While Bob
Yeah.
was bird watching. Yeah, she's truly a modern Ophelia.
Oh, wow, that is definitely not Sean Connery.
Well,
He's Tom
yeah.
Cruising.
Bond went through extensive plastic surgery.
To be fair to Lazenby, every actor in the Bond role has always brought something unique to it. In Lazenby's case, it's actually his physicality. As we'll see later on, he holds his own pretty well in doing the fight scenes for the movie, which I suppose wasn't too much of a surprise because one of his friends was Bruce Lee.
So he's kind of the equivalent of the Twilight Princess version of Link.
So wait,
Yeah.
okay, so in terms of holding a fight, how does he differ from Sean Connery, who seemed to be able to put up occasional fisticuffs as well? Said the line, you can go home now.
Oh.
That was one of his first lines. It's like, okay, don't worry, audience, this is still the same James Bond as last time.
Now, how did we get in this scenario, I wonder?
This isn't an in medias res opening, Joe.
Huh. I was almost wondering if it might be.
I forgot if isn't Quantum of Solace the one that does that?
No.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
How fitting
Taste the
it would have been,
encore.
though. Like, how fitting that would have been, though. Like, when it comes to the worst of James Bond, the free examples I hear of most often are Thunderball, Die Another Day, and Quantum of Solace. How fitting, each a different
Diamonds
era
Are
of
Forever
Bond.
is also put a bit up there.
And The Man with the Golden Gun, and Moonraker, and The View to a Kill.
Wait. Hold on, I thought people liked The Man with the Golden Gun.
No, not at all.
I put it this way, Christopher Lee alone could not save the movie in its entirety.
Also, it's funny you mentioned Diamonds Are Forever. Isn't that the movie that comes after this one?
I don't remember. Yeah, okay.
It's not very clear whether Bruce Lee trained Lazenby, but they at least knew each other enough that maybe he could at least give him some pointers.
Also,
I haven't seen him mentioned in any of the development of this movie, so if he did train him, it would have been off the record or outside of this film's development.
Also, I will say this, I don't know how the editing job of the guy in charge for editing this landed him a role as director for the 80s movie, because I can tell you that you got a taste already, but the editing in the action sequence, I argue it's kind of awful. Also, lots of quick cuts, and you can tell they're using different takes sprinkled throughout because the characters change position all the time.
Get it?
Also,
this never happened to the other fellow.
Alright, time for the iconic theme.
Also, she seriously drove his car just to go up the beach and then go to her car. I guess maybe it was so that her car couldn't be tracked, but knowing Bond, he'll probably be able to find her anyway.
Also, more nipples.
Okay, I'm definitely chalking this up to back in the old day, resolution was not as good, so they couldn't make that stuff out, since I'm guessing in this day and age, they probably would have had them wear some form of underwear to keep the nipples from showing, because for some reason, a woman's nipple is just the ultimate taboo.
I did. This intro is also known for basically having bits and pieces of all the previous movies. This is to basically say, don't worry, guys, this is the same continuity.
Like Dr. No.
Hey,
there.
I remember Dr. No, yeah, and of course the Bond girl from that movie.
That last one was from Goldfinger. And yeah, for the third time in this series, and last from what I remember, the main theme playing during the title sequence has no lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Again, it did become fairly iconic to be referenced, including in the upcoming, by the time recording this, game made by IO, First Light.
Yeah.
Thankfully, with far less, wacky themes. Like, this stuff works better in Doctor Who to me.
Oh yeah, it's ironic, a film about the British Secret Service and its main actor is Aussie.
Something Commonwealth lives.
So yeah, Bond helped save the life of somebody that didn't want their life.
But apparently she did, because she ran for her life at the end. I don't know, maybe it's from the shock of it all and she didn't want to be killed or whatnot.
Okay, considering the circumstances, I think she wanted to die on her own terms.
Yeah, they ruined her death.
Like I said, a modern Ophelia from, if you know about Hamlet, you know that.
Also, I'd make a joke about George Lazenby cosplaying as Christopher Reeves, but technically he was around first, I guess.
Alright, just to mention in advance, because I bother to, double check before doing this commentary, the Italian that is spoken in this movie is technically correct on a pronunciation level. They get most of the accents on the vowels, correctly, instead of, just doing what the usual English language does. But you can still tell that they have a very thick accent, on top of that.
See, guys, we're going to a casino, but it's not quite Casino Royale yet.
Wow,
Sorry.
The first 10 minutes, they really want you to remember that this is a Bond movie. Don't worry, he said the line, and he's in a tux.
And he's in a casino.
In the next 5 minutes, he's probably gonna order vodka martini, I guess.
Also, I was mistaken. It's GoldenEye I was thinking of that people really liked, not the man with the golden gun.
Okay, remind me, Dweeb,
So
is this still Baccarat in terms of, car play?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think I never played that. I don't remember if you mentioned that when we did Thunderball.
Yeah, because it's only the more recent Bond films that dropped Baccarat in favor of Texas Hold'em poker.
Mm-hmm.
So how ironic is it that the original continuity of James Bond never did get to showcase Casino Royale?
Remember, Drova, as we told you in during the parody movie from the 60s,
yes.
Apparently there was an actual rights dispute. So...
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, from what I've heard from fans, Casino Royale is kind of like the Sonic Adventure 2 of James Bond films. Like, it's the big, iconic one, the one that, it has the scenes everyone likes to parody with the casino and whatnot, but ironically, would not be able to officially come into play until the reboot.
Yep, Countess Teresa, as you mentioned earlier, played by Diana Rigg, who joined the movie because she hadn't done an epic film yet at this point. She was mainly famous for the TV show The Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
The thing is that Jova in Casino Royale, which the 2006 movie also, stays close to it, the casino portion takes only roughly 1/3 of the movie, while the rest is either preparation to that or the following, including the very relatively famous torture scene where the villain gets to beat Bond's John with a thick rope. It's weird.
I don't know if I've said it before, but Xenia on top was just the perfect mix of crazy, sex crazed, but crazy enough that even Bond ultimately knew better still. I mean, then again, what else do you do when you're dealing with Jean frickin' Grey?
Also, apparently, Lazenby's experience goes beyond his Bruce Lee-inspired martial arts and black belts in multiple styles. So he also was in the Australian Army Special Forces. By the time he left, he was a sergeant and actually taught hand-to-hand combat to the other trainees. So, ironically, he was the only Bond actor to have Spec Ops background.
I mean, the closest we got to that will be, we mentioned Man with the Golden Gun, where Christopher Lee was actually one of the people who actually met Ian Fleming.
Beautiful. So I'm guessing part of the reason Casino Royale got so much...
Ow.
That's not doing much.
Yeah, I think... Okay, Lazenby's acting in this movie, at times it reads off as really, really wooden. I think he would have been better as like a Bond stunt double.
Okay, I want to be fair to Lazenby. I do get the feeling, whatever issues there were with him, I think part of the problem may have just been that he never got a chance to really solidify his state in the role. Like, okay, let's imagine Sean Connery had ended just after the first film. Would we find Sean Connery as iconic a Bond if he had, just ended his role? Yeah, smart dude, smart.
Wah wah.
I will say, the voice is interesting that he's going for. Like, I don't know if it's intentional, but sometimes he sounds very fancy and, slick, but other times he sounds almost like a bit of a thug at times. Like, I don't know if that's intentional, that's his accent slipping, or he didn't have the best of direction.
The guy that Bond just beat up that ambushed him is played by Irving Allen, who will also play other minor extras in, I think, 2 other Bond movies, Live and Let Die and The Spy Who Loved Me. His last role was in 1978 in Revenge of the Pink Panther.
I really need to get around to seeing the Pink Panther films. I've seen the newer ones, haven't seen the older ones. I've heard great stuff about them.
I don't think I saw any of the movies because, like many people, I'm one of the kids who grew up just with the cartoon and was like, "Oh, wait, they're actually based on a movie series." How bizarre it is, that you have a movie franchise that talks about something completely different, but because the intro was stylized in something that could be marketable for a kids show, they do that, and that in turn starts to become more popular for different generations.
Yeah, like, I've never gotten it clear. Was it the movies that came first and then
Yes,
they based off a bunch of shorts on the cartoony character?
Okay, this is one of those times where I can actually let the whole Bond hitting women thing slide because, well, she had a gun pointed at him.
Alright, her full name is Contessa Teresa di Vincenzo. That's her last name, and how it's pronounced.
Oh.
Nope, that's it. That we're just moving right along.
So that is her. Just, I guess, it's one of her aliases.
Mm-hmm. Also, Bond, what the fuck are you wearing? It's like he has to board a British vessel and has to conquer the Caribbean.
I get the feeling there's something else he'd like to conquer.
Plunder, one might say.
Now, in terms of Lazenby himself, outside of his acting, he was a bit infamous for being a bit of a prick on set, in his own admission as well, because he said so in an interview that he did after the movie. Well, the rumor that Lazenby and Diana Rigg didn't get on wasn't true, although Rigg did say while she did have sympathy for his situation, she found him immature. Other crew members weren't so fond of him because the Peter Hunt, the director, when Lazenby was asked by a crew member to clear the set, those ushered off the set were friends of Hunt, and Hunt even said to him, "Don't forget who got you this job. Never speak to me again. Just speak to the first assistant."
Damn.
And with Hunt even leaving his own birthday party when he saw that Lazenby was there.
So what exactly was Lazenby's situation that supposedly sympathy was felt for?
It was his first movie. Maybe? I don't know. Harry Saltzman, one of the producers, told Lazenby, "You're a star now, so act like one," which caused Lazenby's ego to swell. Broccoli joked that he acted like the superstar he wasn't. Lazenby countered that by saying, "The producers made me feel like I was mindless. They disregarded everything I suggested simply because I hadn't been in the film business like them for 1,000 years." The film's stunt coordinator had to be restrained from attacking Lazenby because Lazenby was apparently so rude to a barmaid she burst out into tears.
Jesus.
This guy sounds like a piece of work.
Rigg also said that Lazenby was just difficult. He kind of thought he was a film star immediately. When the film was completed, she said, "I can no longer cater for his obsession with himself. He is utterly, unbelievably, bloody impossible." She even wrote a letter to Lazenby a year after the film came out, which called him out on incidents including his dresser threatening to hand in his notice, 3 chauffeurs leaving him in a week, the barmaid outburst, and she even accused him of making up the garlic story. And she even brought up a time where he apparently threatened to bash her face in as she failed to reverse a car on an icy road. Well, he wrote back saying he accepted the dresser and the outburst incident, but not the chauffeur one, saying that one was a guest in Portugal, one drove like a lunatic, and the other was late after a party.
So
Llewellyn didn't like him either. Even the composer John Barry didn't like him.
Okay, the more you talk about this, the more it almost sounds a little too convenient that suddenly this turned out to be Lazenby's only James Bond flick. Now, okay, the gist I'm getting from this all is the higher-ups kind of treated him badly because it was just his first film, and it sounds like he took that out on everyone else. In which case, dick move, dude.
The thing that you need to take away from all of this, Jova, is that it's just it was not a good work environment for everyone. The end.
I was just going to quote John Barry. Lazenby came down to one of the sessions. He stood at the back and listened to the score for one of the scenes. He came up to me and said, "It fits," as if it was the greatest compliment I could ever have hoped for. I thought, Christ, we've got a real brain going here. What do you think I'd do for a living?
Okay, so we have an unremarkable Bond, not even going into what happened behind the scenes. Very stilted editing, so I'm not saying that I dislike this film so far. I am sort of still waiting to see what's super iconic about it, though, for the fans.
You might have noticed that the pace is a bit slow, too. Like, we're like 20 minutes in and we don't know yet what the plot is. Bond is just
like, we don't
fucking around.
But yeah, her father is really worried about her because she's basically just really suicidal.
Marc-Ange Draco, I think that's his name. Played by Italian actor Gabriele Ferzetti, who I can say is one of the few people who can actually rock the pencil film mustache, so good on him.
There's even more in regards to Lazenby. Lazenby showed up late to a party, and when Broccoli went and asked what was wrong, he replied that he should have had an invitation because he was the star of the movie. Broccoli then explained that nobody had an invite. It was a spur of the moment thing, and told him, "You're not a star until the public makes you one." And to cap it all off, Lazenby disregarded Broccoli's instructions and showed up to the premiere with shoulder-length hair and a beard. He justified it, saying it was my way of saying I'm myself, not James Bond.
Wish sort of granted, but not entirely granted. Like, yes, you are not regarded as the pinnacle Bond, but again, his name is now a metaphor for essentially failing. Like, in a sense, he is the dark universe of James Bond's.
So yeah, he wants Bond to marry Tracy, but marriage isn't really something Bond does.
Wait a minute. What about that movie where, yeah, I know, future, but still, irony, isn't it?
It's also worth noting that, yeah, while thankfully it has been severely toned down in these days, it's something that might happen more in the South or for more strictly conservative leaning families, which unfortunately they still are way too many that I would hope for. Arranged marriages tended to be a thing around this time here in my country. Not necessarily just for the aristocracy or the bourgeois, but also in general, because there was a strict sense of camaraderie, there was a sense of, something akin to what Swan Princess does, the idea that, two families that really are friends with each other will say, yeah, let's have our heir, being combined marriage. What? We might not love each other? Who the fuck cares?
Goodness gracious. Okay, so I'm aware that some of these movies obviously are doing the book order out of order, so I'll just ask, when it came to the books, were the books all sequential, or was it about if their chronology was kind of a bit all over the place and the movies are trying to put them in order, or it's just the movies come when they come, so we're making that the chronological order for the films?
That I don't really know.
I can tell you, Jova, from the little research that I did, it's more of a case of the ongoing plot was mostly about the specific criminal organizations that Bond has to fight, mainly Spectre and SMERSH, as it's called.
You get the M scene.
Yeah, remember, he kinda got away.
Look at you. You're not the Bond that I used to know. You couldn't nail him, and now you're practically a giant who's useless.
What a productive meeting.
And
This could have been an email.
Literal, well,
So-
a royal mail specifically in this case.
So what? Is this basically the story where, Bond's off his A game, so he's got to get his mojo back, basically?
You're a loose cannon,
that's
Bond.
it.
Just put a bullet through someone's head. It'll be fine.
So
But
yeah,
Bond,
because he's
the
not
name-
doing the
but
Blofeld
Bond-
assignment now, he's resigned.
Okay, so it's the Sherlock Holmes Moriarty obsession, basically.
No, it's a midlife crisis.
Look, Bond, I get that you want to go after Blofeld, but you do know that there might be other missions required for world saving.
This is also connected to what I was saying before. Remember, most of the movies do not even adapt the other organizations that Bond goes against, like SMERSH, and mostly focus on Spectre or independent villains. So that's probably why they also wanted to have a more personal Moby Dick angle.
Yeah, more
I'll
references
admit
to earlier
this-
Bond movies.
I'll admit, this feels out of place for me. Like, don't get me wrong, Bond definitely had it in for Blofeld, but I never got the idea that Bond had, like, this Ahab obsession with Blofeld to the point where he would blow off other missions just to go after Blofeld.
I get the idea that maybe it's a case where he considers the mission from the only twice possibly unfinished because he wanted to personally terminate the target. So it's literally a case of unfinished business and wanting to be so professional he wants to conclude the job.
Well, that's it. M just granted his resignation request without regret.
But
After all
wait a
they've been
minute.
through together.
But it's not a resignation, it was a 2 weeks leave request.
In her mind, she's just like, he'll be back.
So yeah, props to Money Penny for not just letting Bond throw away his career recklessly.
You know, I'm just gonna say, in an anime version of Bond, she would turn out to be the true love, just saying.
Even the movie seems to titillate on that Bond is a woman in report, but seems to have a special, place in his heart for Miss Moneypenny.
Well, it's just that wonderful day to be dressing ever so uberly fancy along for a lovely drive about.
I'm sorry, apparently we just tuned in instead to Disney's Pollyanna. God, that movie's so depressing.
Oh, are we at the Ascot opening day? Bullfighting.
Which is weird because, okay, I think maybe the father is at least part Spanish, I guess, because the Countess instead is Italian, so... Marchan's Draco, yes, it might be more lenient towards Spanish.
That, or I guess maybe they're just venturing over.
Swing and a miss.
She looks like she wants to kill him.
Yeah, I would make a joke about. I was just like, oh god, I was in the Avengers not long ago. Now I got to help this guy try and act.
George
but,
Lazy prick.
But to be fair, she was like, well, A, she really wanted to do this movie anyway, and B, it paid well enough.
Also,
So,
because this is still, a pre-Cannibal Holocaust movie, there's probably a good chance that they're actually killing that bull for real. That woman on the left was so tanned, goddamn.
And these scenes with the bullfighting are absolutely necessary because
I mean,
this
similar
is
to
what
the
rich people did.
similar also to the previous movies, it's clearly the movie trying to showcase a bit of a different culture that Bond gets exposed to. Remember, at this point, outside of movies, people only had newspapers and books to get acquainted with, different costumes and, uses of other nations. It's one of the reasons why in the wartime movies, Saludos Amigos and the Three Caballeros were so important. Because they were actual advertisement for cultures that a lot of people in the West did not know anything about.
Oh, does he not know that Bond kind of already slept with her?
Do it. Well, when you put it like that.
And we know from the start of the movie she's not bluffing, so yeah. What a coinky dink.
Oh.
Yeah, apparently Bond is Batman.
Oosh.
Nobody else at the table saw him going away.
Well, I mean, apparently George Lazenby was in one of the Batman cartoons later on.
He's still alive now, though sadly has a case of dementia and is being cared for his wife at the moment.
Batman Beyond as Mr. Walker / King in 3 episodes.
Huh. Here is my shoulder to cry on. Oh, but don't you see, even though her father has arranged a marriage, maybe those two lovebirds truly do love each other, and this marriage can be saved.
Now,
So,
all of
yeah,
a sudden, she was
it is-
holding a black
Oh,
scepter.
so we're having a romance montage. Okay.
And as for the is the most famous song in the movie, sung by Louis Armstrong, who by this point was really ill, yet still managed to do the song.
It's a testament to his, commitment to the art.
Yeah. Please tell me the Beatles do a song for James Bond at some point.
I don't think so.
One of them does.
Oh,
Is it Ringo?
No,
I was thinking of Paul instead.
Paul McCartney, yeah.
Yeah.
She put her shirt over his head because that's what people in love do.
Bears, okay. Compared to the previous movies, this one tries to emphasize more the idea that Bond might have found the one, his true love.
So in that case, something has to happen to ruin that by the end of the movie.
Alright, so I think now we're arriving in Switzerland, which I think they actually filmed there. Principal photography beginning, yeah, Canton Yvern in Switzerland. There you go. Again, all of these movies double as, again, advertisement for tourism purposes.
Of course. Like, no, from what I can garner, I think James Bond might have been the biggest franchise of all time at the time, so it makes sense that if any film would be hosted to basically become an advertisement for touring spots, it would be this.
The closest, I guess, would be the Fox movies about Sherlock Holmes with Basil Rathbone in it, but that did not last for as long.
Don't mind me, just casually breaking and entering.
You must see this every day.
If Lazenby had actually stuck around for those 7 movies, do you think, well, okay, obviously he would have left more of an impact, but do you think maybe things could have worked out better overall? Or do you think it's for the best that he was only James Bond for 1 film?
No clue.
Well, given all the behind-the-scenes kerfuffle and all that stuff, maybe it was for the best.
Yeah, I'm
But,
with Dweebs on that.
Well, because not to mention, Lazenby was making things difficult for people, but things were pretty difficult for him too.
I do acknowledge he was a
Not
prick.
getting any coaching in spite of having no acting experience.
While he was a prick, and I'm not saying this excuses his actions, but I can get the stresses or the frustrations of being put into what feels like a crap situation. You know, kind of like with what happened on Blade Trinity. Do not get me wrong, Wesley Snipes was an absolute asshat and asshole, but I do get the stress he felt, no, not just from the tax evasion allegations and crimes that he would get arrested for, but more so how he felt that, like, you know, hey, a prominent black character was kind of getting sidelined for Caucasian characters. Again, he should not have taken it out on Reynolds
Not
like
to
he
mention,
did.
Jova, you say the stress, but apparently he had all the weed in the world to smoke to cope with that. I gotta love it. Bond was so used to the whole cracking the safe kind of gig with Gadget, but he wasn't even amused anymore by it.
Oops, I may have let slip that I've fallen in love with Bond. Tomorrow, prepare for regrets.
That sounds like the title for a Bond parody. No regrets or something.
That's actually instead the tagline of a couple of the Postal game, no regrets.
Bond's like, oh, come on, this bloody... I'm reading Playboy while this is still going on.
Wow.
Almost channeling his inner Sonic the Hedgehog. How long this is gonna go on?
It finally happened. Bond has to resort to actually reading and looking at porn. I'm surprised it only took up until this movie.
Nobody? Fuck.
To be fair, this is a Swiss kind of, safe, so probably a lot of bank titles. That's, instead a different way to have a rich capital. You'll be surprised, Libs, about the shit that the Swiss hide, inside their banks. Ooh, a fax machine.
The wonders of the future.
Or is it a copy machine instead? I forgot. No, I think it's a copy machine, my bad.
The first fax machine was technically invented in May 27, 1843, known as the electric printing telegraph at the time.
Yeah, there's the whole meme that people noted about things that existed around the same time where theoretically Lincoln could have faxed, a document to a samurai.
Perfect timing. Okay, so knowing all we do know regarding Lazenby, I'm brought back to my theory. Well, okay, not just my theory, just my observation that this movie was definitely made with Sean Connery in mind. Like, let's keep in mind, as early as the last movie, they had the title set up saying Bond will return from that. So I get the feeling everyone was just blindsided by Connery just walking off from the role, and they kind of had to scramble with Lazenby essentially. And I get the feeling he wasn't as prepared as he could have
They
been
probably just
overall.
thought about the whole, if the movie is using the same formula and structured, even if we change the actor, the way the movie is tailored should, theoretically remain unchanged, and it's just the actor fitting for that.
And I guess they were technically right since this movie did make a lot of money, although, like you and Dwebs mentioned, apparently reception was mixed at the time of this film's release. Oh, Commander now. Did someone get a promotion?
So many butterflies, goddamn.
Okay, so when it came to reviews of the time, the majority of reviews were critical of either the film, Lazenby, or both, while most of the contemporary reviews in the British press referred to Lazenby at some point as, and I quote, the Big Fry, a reference to his previous acting in Fry's chocolate advertisements.
I mean, acting just
Anyway.
for commercials isn't
Oh, yes, sir.
necessarily a bad thing, I guess.
I'm wondering if maybe that was their reference to say, oh, you should stick to commercials. I don't know. Derek Malcolm of The Guardian was dismissive of Lazenby's performance, saying, he is not a good actor, and though I never thought Sean Connery was all that stylish either, there are moments when one yearns for a little of his louche panache. For all the criticism of Lazenby, however, Malcolm says that the film was quite a jolly frolic in the familiar money-spinning fashion. So, popcorn film, basically.
Ha.
Ah! Ha 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 ha! Wow, they are really chock full of all these references, aren't they?
Well, we haven't got yet to the word is not enough, so it's more of a call forward, technically. I don't remember if in the book the word is not enough was a book set before this.
I really get the feeling that okay, I'm not saying that Lazenby makes these references weird, but I do find it funny that for the film that they chose to reference a lot of the older stuff, it's ironically the film that unfortunately calls to attention the fact that this is not the same Bond. I don't know if people critiqued it with how blatant it was, but from what I'm hearing, most of the critical backlash had to do with Lazenby's acting. I don't know. It's kind of like if, say, in Iron Man 2, they constantly called back to the first film regarding Rhodey and just brought attention to the fact that, hey, these actors are different. Tom Milne, writing in The Observer, was much more scathing, saying, I fervently trust on Her Majesty's Secret Service will be the last of the James Bond films. All the pleasing oddities and eccentricities and gadgets of the earlier films have somehow been lost, leaving a routine trail, though, which the new James Bond strides without noticeable signs of animation. Joke's on him, given how much the franchise would continue after this, but I digress. Why Brown had to go.
It wasn't the style at the time.
Tell me, Shiroi, what were British colored styles at the time, if not brown?
Gray?
Gray like the sky, of course.
So yeah, now Bond's pretending to be Hilary Bray to get more info on what's going on with Blofeld, and we got the henchwoman for the movie, Irma Bunt, played by the late Ilsa Stepat.
That pipe is
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, again, they want to continue the motif of Bond having very over-the-top disguises, but at the very least, I argue, for this case, because the movie set in Switzerland, Bond doesn't have to, have a color face, kind of a disguise.
I'll just say this: in the modern day and age, that whole Japanese thing probably would have just been dealt with like the equivalent of one of the face masks from Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, her actress died only a few days after the film came out.
It was literally her
Alas.
last role.
Oh, and interesting enough, they had the guy who actually played the real Sir Hilary Bray dub over Lazenby while Bond was pretending to be him. It was because the director thought Lazenby's impression wasn't convincing enough. But some of the press ran with that thinking, oh god, they had a dub over the whole movie because he's such a bad actor.
Yeah, again, from what I'm seeing, a lot of the bad reception had to do with critics really dogging on Lazenby, for better or for worse. As a matter of fact, Donald Zeck of the Daily Mirror had quite the bone to pick with Lazenby's acting abilities, comparing him unfavorably to Connery. Quote, "He looks uncomfortably in the part like a size 4 foot in a size 10 gumboot." In yet another unfavorable comparison of Lazenby to Connery, Gene Siskel, yes, that Siskel from Siskel and Ebert of the Chicago Tribune, remarked that he doesn't fill Sean Connery's shoes, Aston Martin, or stretch pants. The new 007 is more boyish and consequently less of a man. He doesn't order food with the same verve and generally lacks the self-satisfied smirk that Connery kept with him and transmitted to his audience. As for the New York Times, H.R. Wheeler basically said that Lazenby, if not a spurious Bond, is merely a casual, pleasant, satisfactory replacement, so I guess it wasn't all bad. The scene I'm getting from this is like, I do feel like some of the stakes were set unfairly against Lazenby, especially since he was the first ever new Bond, so I feel like the first ever Bond in transition was always going to have to face that. But on the other hand, is it truly something that was completely out of his control? Are there not some things he could have done better?
Well, not being a
Who
prick.
said no to the part?
Also, not being a prick, might have been a good start. Anyway, bobsledding, this will be important for the climax.
I joked about the Christopher Reeve thing, but shoot, he kind of looks like Christopher Lee's with or without the glasses on. And, I just realized we are not even halfway through this film.
Like I said,
the pace
is not particularly great.
I hesitate to call it Thunderball levels of slow yet, but I do feel like the plot's meandering a bit. I mean, I guess maybe they did dedicate some time to build on his and the Contessa's romance, but it's a really hard sell to really convince us that, oh, this is the woman that Bond's finally going to settle with and truly stop his fraternizing with any other lady.
Semantics.
And no, in case you're wondering, because it's Switzerland, no, this is not New Zealand, these are the Alps.
Okay, I haven't read the book, but apparently this is one of the more faithful book to film adaptations in
I
the
don't know the
series.
details, so I cannot tell.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. So every time I hear count nowadays, I think they're saying there was a count Olaf.
Well, it is a title, Dweeb, so. Oh, look, a
Cheers.
white cat. I'm sure that means nothing. The cat wants to eat the
Blofeld.
corn.
That's the cat that clawed Bond's face off between movies and why he needed surgery.
Wow,
You
Blofeld,
know,
you've gone from sounding British to American pretty quickly.
Shiroi, what you said is actually just a good reason that gives Bond his reasoning to be obsessed with coming after Blofeld and explaining his changes in appearance. Good job.
Hey,
So yeah, as for who we saw earlier, Blofeld is now played in this movie by Telly Savalas, an American. So we've gone from Brit to America really quickly. Although apparently in the book, Blofeld did have plastic surgery, and that's so I guess there's some precedent there.
Did he make
the cat
himself?
got his face too, I see.
Yes, it's a kind of recurring thing in the books that Blofeld uses this
Okay.
tactic in order to change his appearance and confuse his enemies.
Although I see
Yeah,
he still left his head bald as a cue ball.
So yes, Savalas is mostly known nowadays for playing Kojak, and
Yeah.
If you're looking for a secret compartment or secret room, it's not that easy, Bond. Gadgets? Actually, yeah, we didn't get a Q scene now that I think about it.
We got Q at the very beginning, but not for, giving the gadgets.
That is certainly an outfit.
Well, remember, because, one was played by Connery, they wanted to have the character still have a kilt. Yes, the most
plus
Australian...
remember, Bond's supposed to be pretending to be someone else.
The most Australian Scottish person in the whole Alps. Hello there.
And now, Bond, your greatest challenge yet. Very progressive. Women from all over the world by the looks of it.
So we've got this little group of women here called Blofeld's Angels of Death. One of them's played by Joanna Lumley, interestingly enough, who would go on to being absolutely fabulous.
So yes, Bond is the only man here aside from the staff. What a scenario. God, I just realized he looks like Austin Powers with that ascot.
It's not the last time the Bond. Okay, to be fair, the Austin Powers movie were done after this, But it's not after the Austin Powers movie were made. Some Bond movies will actually have as plot points stuff that the Austin Powers movie parodied. So that should tell you everything.
Came full circle. Because remember, Shiroy, there's technically an original Casino Royale film which we did commentate on, black and white.
All right, yeah.
Okay, that one actually had an American playing Bond.
It also had Peter Lorre in it as the villain, if I recall correctly. Do we need to have all these close-ups about people eating? I know it's not the first time I asked that, but I don't know. I don't know what's the artistic value in that.
Well, don't you see all these people coming together and conversing over dinner? It shows the unity we have as a world and all that jazz. But yeah, no, part of me thinks it might just be padding.
Also, it's funny that you mentioned about, about all this group being, varied in its different, kind of places of origins for a woman, because as we noted in the previous part, that seems to be Spectre modus operandi. So it kind of raises a bit of a warning sign where the clearly evil faction that has its in its aim world domination, or at least getting a lot of money from the governments of the world, is definitely the more progressive group.
So basically, Spectre helped fund the Civil Rights Revolution. God, please no, but
Clearly.
Don't you see, though? That's just what a messed up world we're in, where...
Oh my, what the fuck?
Honey, let's not look for the sausage, please.
Yeah, George Lasagna Brick's face, in there said everything. What the hell?
I hope that is all the actress was instructed to do, and, she didn't go off script there. What, is the cure sex?
Surprisingly, no.
Wah wah.
Nice little living room you got here. What's with all the beeping, though?
It's the dreaded technology. Ah, yes, a comfy living room with a view on a chemistry lab. My favorite suite.
Okay, yeah, here's one often cited plot hole. How the hell Blofeld doesn't recognize Bond?
Yeah.
Wait, he doesn't? I thought he did, and he was just playing Bond.
No, he doesn't.
Despite the fact that, in
I
universe,
guess
Bond is supposed to be the same
in
person without the plastic surgery.
And I would kind of question why Bond isn't at least suspecting that this is Blofeld, because, look, I'm not going to say every bald person might be Blofeld, but he dresses like Blofeld, and the facial structure even looks similar to Blofeld. Like,
He's just missing
rid
this
of the
scar on
scar.
his eye, yeah.
which, okay, I'm guessing do they still stick with he got plastic facial surgery for this story as well?
If I recall correctly, yes.
In that case, I really do wonder why he doesn't adopt like a wig or, get actual hair
Maybe
surgery.
just like not having hair, Jova.
Well, I can get him liking to be bald, but I mean, hey, if you really want to mess with your opponents, at least don the wig to really fake them out.
Hey, to be fair, Telly Savalas, he hasn't tried to do like a Donald Pleasance impression. He does his own thing in the role.
But that really does beg the question, okay, we could maybe assume that he doesn't look similar enough for Bond to suspect that, but that really just brings us back to how Blofeld doesn't know that that's Bond. I legit thought he did know that it was Bond, and he's just, playing Bond for a chump, though. I guess, to be fair, if he had recognized Bond, he probably would have killed Bond by now.
Or put him in a trapping situation.
So yeah, Blofeld wants to be a count, and he needs a Hillary to do it.
Interesting. An 8?
Or the Infinity.
That's what room she's in.
Huh. Contessa's not gonna like hearing that you're cheating on
now
her.
it's just having Edgeworth's cravat. What the hell?
Somebody really wanted to put Bond into cravats for this movie, I guess.
Who the fuck was the costume designer for this movie?
Remember, he's supposed to be impersonating Hilary Bray.
I get it, but through the entire movie, the costume design in general seems to be more extravagant than previous attempts.
Yeah, in the back of my mind, get out the image of them going, okay, this is all planned for Connery in mind. Wait, what do you mean Connery's not going to do the role for? This is basically geared for him. We're getting an Australian? Oh, I'm sure it'll work out just fine.
What was that Simpsons gag? I want this actor for James Bond. He's not available. Then get me the non-union equivalent.
There was an observation that someone made in a video review, which sadly is no longer up. I do remember the quote, and that basically he felt that since Bond's supposed to be legit falling in love in this movie, having Connery on board, in his opinion, would have made it feel disingenuous. Whereas having a new actor in the role would help sell it more.
I mean, if it's supposed to still be the same character in the same continuity, I don't know about that. A different or the same actor wouldn't matter not much.
Speaking of which, I might as well ask now. Given that this will apparently be the same Bond that evolves into Pierce Brosnan and is apparently still spry and swift in the 90s, how does Bond work? Sliding timescale, or he's just that good overall.
Slice of
Non-linear
time.
timeline, apparently.
How funny that it's this one in particular, not all 12 of them at once. Although I guess to be fair, Bond is... Actually, no, he's not a monogamist, is he? Well, I mean, when it comes to marriage, he probably is.
Remember the golden
You are
rules of cannot show this in a Christian manga.
You are now imagining Miles Edgeworth in this scene with that cravat.
The worst part is that it's not, the bottom one is not even Phoenix. So.
Sorry, Phoenix is too busy with Iris, who finally got out of prison.
I need to ask because I haven't played those yet. Do the investigation game give Edward, a girl sidekick that the fandom can to ship him with? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit dubious given Kay's age and whatnot,
you know it
but you
better
know
than
how
me.
people shipped Phoenix? Just like how people shipped Phoenix with Maya, people do tend to ship Edgeworth with Kay. Oh no, this one's a talker. Also, the movie where Bond supposedly is falling in love, the first chance he gets, he sleeps with another woman. Like, granted, maybe it's for the job and whatnot, but I don't know. I get the feeling this might be a little extracurricular.
Clearly it's because he doesn't have enough chest hair like Sean Connery did.
But not to mention, Bond could get away with sleeping around, but the person you're meant to be playing...
Double standards for the stupidity. Oh no, it's the 70s!
Oh goodness, I mean it was 1969, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of those trends were in.
Oh, I know this one since it's number 8. It's just a continuous repeat of the burping sound.
Okay, I'll give credit to the casting here. I can't imagine Donald Pleasant's voice being hypnotizing enough, for lack of a better term, compared to Sabalas's.
I mean, he literally played a psychiatric doctor in the Halloween movies.
Donald Pleasant.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's not. He wasn't a hypnotist there, was he?
You can make the argument that he would have been capable to do so, suggestions and all.
So I'm guessing Blofeld wasn't counting on one of his Angels of Death getting some at the time.
This room is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me guess. At some point, Blofeld decides, okay, everyone's getting in on the disco craze, so I will use disco to take over the world. Right in time for disco to die.
How diabolical. Oh. Hello?
Why did you sound Australian for a second there? It's my alter ego.
No, it's like that quote from Matt Berry. He's like, yeah, that's how all we talk in Tucson, Arizona. I'm not sure how much of a compliment it is, I prefer to look at you in the dark.
Well, I mean, some things like, people or items have a different look when they're in the dark.
Don't forget, I'll leave you in the dark. Wow, scoring 2 times in the same 9. Bond, the old sly dog.
Also,
What do you mean,
Bond,
Hillary?
Yeah.
Also, Bond, do you not have any scruples about the fact that these women might indeed be being brainwashed since,
Also, I love
you were...
that one of the extras almost bumped into the waiter and almost made him spill his drinks. Did you not have a better take?
Unless that was intentional.
It means entry forbidden.
Yeah, verboten.
It's German, or either German or Austrian, because Switzerland has its policy of having three languages being spoken: Italian, German, and French. I don't remember if it's strictly German or Austrian, though, because they're closer to them.
Oh, why didn't I close the door earlier? I mean, look it. God, this guy's got me so wound up I can't even say my lines straight. Yeah, that's Bernard Horsfall. The same year this film came out, he was in the Doctor Who story The War Games, where he played one of the Time Lords at the end.
Huh. I was about to
Doctor
say,
Who and
he looked like a tanned discount Steven Gutenberg, even though obviously this was decades before he was to prominence. I mean, curling, I argue curling is not a particularly great type of sport. If you want to play on ice, you might as well just do hockey.
Isn't curling also played on ice?
Yes, my point being,
Yes.
if you want to play something on the... Whoa, what a klutz. If you want to play on that, you might as well, do something else. Like, it's a neat idea to have a measure of your strength, not necessarily to how strong you are, but to calculate it. Okay. I would really appreciate, Blofeld, if you do not point at that thing in my face. Also, did the movie just jump cut for the take?
Yeah.
Again, editor who later turned out to be a director of the franchise. What the hell?
I wonder if maybe he was... Oh no, shoot, as director he should have had some say on the editing.
See, this is a Christmas movie, alright?
Yes, indeed.
There you go. There's another justification for doing the film during our Christmas marathon.
Well, we
I get
didn't
the
mention
feeling...
that the movie actually did came out in December, specifically premiered in London in 18th of December, and then the day after in the United States.
So they knew what they were doing with that release date.
I get the idea they took advantage of it. They say, oh, the story requires Bond to be doing Christmas period in the Alps, so that's, releasing in December. It's kind of like how the John Landis movie, Trading Places, tend to cover a broadened sense of timescale during the December festivities, because the climax takes place during New Year's Eve, for example. But because it includes briefly also a period of doing Jesus.
Well, crud! Not what he was.
What was that slow-mo?
Slow-mo! Oh my god!
And the close-up.
Well,
Can you unblur the camera, please?
Merry Christmas, Bond!
Again, editor who will later become a director of the movies in the 80s. I guess if that was hard to guess, at this point, this was seen as, a great filming technique, potentially editing technique. But I don't know, man. I'm starting to say that the speed-up footage in Thunderbolt is actually, quite better in comparison.
I love it. The way that Blofeld found out it was Bond was because he was seducing the angels, basically. Like,
Well, that and he screwed up a couple of the information.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, how come you didn't recognize me earlier?
You have to understand, when the cat clawed my face, I had a lot to think about.
it's nice to see that even Blofeld can celebrate Christmas, even has the turtleneck and everything for it. Give it a few years, some idiot politicians will do the same.
So, yeah, that's Blofeld's plan. Chemical warfare.
Oh, Blofeld, if you could have waited until 2020, boy, do I have a story to tell you, bud.
Well, to be fair, this was closer to the Spanish influenza of the 1910, 1920s. We need to remember the fact that humanity had different, periods of plagues. If anything, this is starting to remind me again the beginning of Mission Impossible 2 and their stupidity of like, yeah, we created, the cure for something. Now we are contractually obligated to create the virus this is a cure of. Genius. What was John Woo thinking?
He was thinking, how can I be as over the top as possible, and how do I get as many doves into a scene?
He already did that with the Face Off a few years before.
He had to go higher, damn it! And given how over the top Face Off already is, yeah, that was pretty high. Ironically, for some that makes Mission Impossible 2 kind of forgetful. But everyone remembers the high five off the motorcycle scene.
Well, I argue the scene that gets remembered the most out of Mission Impossible 2 is almost at the very beginning where Tom Cruise solos the mountain.
Well, that's Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise. Needing to show the most death-defying stunts, which, when you think about it, could have the worst ending if something goes wrong.
I mean, all things considered, that was a surprisingly chill conversation.
Mm-hmm. That's
Again,
mostly because
even
Blofeld is sure of his victory, so...
Yeah, he's gonna kill his ally.
Oh yeah, because they're well known for tourists just appearing hung up dead.
It was an unfortunate accident. You see, he was skiing, but the roping that he had with him just happened to snarl and twist. He somersaulted, rolled over, and the rope got caught on a hook, and that ended up hanging him as such.
So yeah,
Tragic
now he's
business.
in the gear room of I forgot the English term for the mechanism, the The cabin.
The machine.
Yeah, the cabin that actually takes people from the lodge to a lower place, and vice versa. No,
That's a lot of things that can crush you in a room.
Yeah. If anything, I think what's the next action scene that we saw a glimpse of in the opening sequence might have inspired stuff like the climax of The Great Mouse Detective.
We don't really see the cat much in this movie.
No. It's Christmas time. There you go.
Yay! Justifying the pick.
Yeah, I was saying before, again, just because it has just a brief moment set in Christmas, the movie Trading Places, ever since it was released in theaters, I think I mentioned in the past, but it has been constantly, every single year, being broadcasted in my country every time, with no exception, during Christmas Eve. Because they made an entire marketing about it. And like, it would be kind of wholesome if it wasn't for the fact that the movie is kind of mean-spirited, and because it's a John Landis production, it doesn't shy away of using colorful words to describe stuff. There is a purpose to them. Thankfully, they're not too gratuitous, but still, not exactly, early evening material for the whole family.
Also, thanks to two characters showing up in Coming to America, that means that it is officially an Eddie Murphy cinematic universe. Like, it's more of a cheeky reference, but I digress.
Easter eggs and all.
But, it's interesting. When you compare Halloween movies to Christmas movies, Halloween is very, very comprehensive and ubiquitous, essentially. Like, just about anything horror-wise, boom, works for the Halloween horror, essentially. Christmas films, on the other hand, seem to be a bit more... Okay, at the same time, they're more limited, but in other cases, they can also be a lot more loose. Because, like, on the one hand, if you need something to be a Christmas movie, usually you want it to actually have a Christmas scene in it. But sometimes a little Winter Wonderland aesthetic can help too, essentially. Which I do think a lot of film companies get on to. Like, we see stuff like Frozen from Disney, which was basically released in November in time for the Christmas season. And that technically doesn't have a Christmas scene, but
also,
it's
Bond,
definitely got the Winter Wonderland.
Speaking of Frozen, Bond, no, be careful. Frozen 2010 told me that those cables are razor sharp.
I know, they'll cut right through your gloves.
Like
his hands are built of.
He purposefully
I don't know.
He purposefully, ripped these pockets to have, improvised mittens. Maybe because he was afraid of friction, but I can still tell you, people, those cables are not razor sharp. I don't know where these misconception comes from.
My guess for Bond's case, it was really just about the friction.
Like, Mythbusters had an entire episode to, disprove that.
So if I understand correctly, basically these girls are from all across the world, and basically they're all part of Blofeld's medical warfare, basically.
Maybe there was something in the presents or like in the wrapping paper that was.
We do know that they were brought in to cure. We do know that they were brought in to cure allergies, but I'm guessing something was done with them that could potentially distribute whatever is the disease.
Blofeld's aim, if he's not satisfied, is to basically render crops useless.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing brainwashed that these girls have means to distribute the agents across the crops.
Programmed in a way. It's kind of, okay, it's not quite like the doll program from Street Fighter that M. Bison and Shadowloo did for, Cammy, Junie, and Julie and all the others, but I love it. The people in the cabin, they don't even see him because they don't look up, even though diagonally they should actually be able to see him.
You're busy chatting.
I love it. They're trying to make the scene super tense when it really, really isn't.
I mean, you don't want to fall from that height, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm guessing he made the gloves mostly to deal with the friction of the fact that, okay, as cold as that wire could be, he probably doesn't want his hands to potentially freeze to them. From Blofeld with love. This is the weirdest Christmas party I've ever seen.
Yeah, go that was suggestion.
At least everyone here at this Christmas party is alive. Kinda.
Mm-hmm.
Sorta. And what's in the present?
What's in the box?
A gun.
Perfume.
So spreading it through the air.
Huh.
Well,
But I'm married. Well, then divorce your husband.
yeah, Blofeld's plan is relying on quite a gamble to expect that all of these people, would be able. Also, since there are different parts of the world, you probably should take into account the different time zones. Like, what is midnight for someone is completely different for someone else, and I'm pretty sure his broadcast happens, at the same time. Unless these devices are
midnight in
just
your respective time zones.
Unless these devices are just, specific for each individual, instead of being transmitting them, they're programmed to repeat that at the specific hour, in which case I guess it would make sense.
To be fair, we did get a scene of him addressing number 8, Ruby specifically, so maybe he can just tune into each one when he needs to. That said,
I guess that's that.
That said, dude's gonna have to keep a stopwatch and alarm on him to be able to wake up in time to
Like I said,
contact
maybe
these
they're just
people.
programmed automatically. Think of it as a Tamagotchi, but instead of, demanding that you feed it, it just tells you all your base are belong to us.
Now imagine, everyone gets a Tamagotchi. What's that? Oh, alright, miss, go to sleep, but at 7 o'clock, kill your husband, then at 8 o'clock, commit political sabotage.
I'm pretty confident that at least one or more American newspapers tried to demonify Tamagotchis when they came out, saying they were tools of brainwashing children or something.
Incidentally, I don't remember that ever happening, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone did at some point. Okay, I'm guessing these women must have, either very prominent places in their respective governments or, some way to have access to spread these things out wide.
They're top scientists, and that's why Blofeld is, counting on the idea that these people will be in key positions of power to spread the agent. He basically invited them here with an excuse, hypnotize them via suggestion, and program them to activate. It's kind of like the Manchurian Candidate, They're none the wiser, but when will be the moment, they will, receive an input command.
Well, kudos to this movie for bucking the trend of scientists having to look
here we
nerdy
go.
and
It's time for the ski scene with that costume.
Yep.
Cue the MST3K clip. There, should let it look stupid in this.
So yeah, although usually things that parody this have the skiing thing be in the daylight.
Oh,
but
don't
yeah,
worry.
no.
This is just the first one. They're basically getting a good mileage out of the mountain set of the Alps.
Hey, Bond, didn't you have a love interest in this movie or something?
Who cares? Wee!
Oh, there's a cat.
He just tosses the cat on the table. Poor thing.
This does not please the cat.
I think
I hope they chew through all of the phone wires.
Or shit all over the desk. I think Dr. Claw treated his cat better. And regularly punched the table so hard he scared the cat.
Wow, this is interesting for
And the
Blofeld.
movie
He's going out and
jumped-
joining in the chase.
And
I guess now it's daytime. It became daytime now, or at least the sun's coming out.
They're trying to make a day-to-night shot.
It's weird because it was clearly darker earlier, so I'm guessing they're making it lighter so that we can see the action, but in that case, just have it happen during the day.
So, I'm pretty confident that it all can be summed up with this editing is bad.
I'm guessing this editor must have gotten better, and that's why he was rewarded. I hope.
Well, I don't remember a lot of the 70s movies having editing like this.
Wow, Blofeld, do you really need to be skiing in front of your blue screen?
It's my favorite pastime.
Also, I gotta say, interesting that Blofeld's actually taking to the field and not manning stuff from behind his desk.
I guess compared to the previous movie, they wanted him to be in a more proactive role.
Yeah, I mean, plus, you've got someone like Telly Savalas, known for his
Physicality.
for lack of a better term,
I'm guessing the idea was Blofeld figures, you know what, fine, I'm actually going to do it myself, since no one else can do it right.
You cannot ski with one ski alone.
Well, this film's
Tio.
showing that they can.
Tio, he's just that good.
Of course.
Also, I get what they're trying to do with the music here, but I don't know. I feel like they should be going for something a bit more frantic rather than just smooth jazz.
It's the synth also. It's the synth, but I think it's the problem. Like, it works better, like he said, idiot. Yeah, I know,
That was Looney Tunes.
It works better in something like Doctor Who, where there's not too much frantic action, and instead things can get a bit more trippy, so to speak.
Wah, wah. Seriously, did you guys go to the Looney Tunes School of Chase?
It's probably one of the... Bond, for fuck's sake. You're really not in shape, aren't you?
He's trying. Okay, now what do you do? What? What? What?
He's still falling.
I feel like
He's still falling.
You're right, Joe, but this really is a Looney Tunes routine.
Jesus Christ. And
I need your ski, your clothes right now.
Wait, they survived this?
Oh, this was another guy, I think.
Okay, because you should not have legs.
Strangled by a ski. What?
creative today,
What
are
is
we?
happening?
Aren't they like too flat to do that? I don't know.
Yeah, like, sure, they can press on your trachea, I guess, but they shouldn't exert that much pressure. I think we just entered a complete different movie.
Like, holy cow! Like, I know I said the movie
There
felt
goes another
subdued
one.
at points. There's no sound of the hit.
Blofeld, no fun.
We'll hear it at the
Meanwhile,
end of the movie.
Meanwhile, Bond's like, huh, well, that happened.
Oh, that was fun.
Yes. I can definitely see why the skiing thing is one of the things everyone remembers from this movie.
And like I said, it's not the only one in this movie. We're gonna get an encore later.
Beautiful. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a deathly night.
Idiot. Just
Boy,
hear
Bond.
the sleigh bell ring-a-ling, ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling too.
Don't you see, guys? We got Christmas parties, Blofeld in a Christmas sweater, bells, skiing. It is absolutely a Christmas movie.
We're clanging around, and now I'm gonna ring the bell with you. Bong, bong, bong.
If anything, this reminds me that I probably need to get a Silk Song at some point. Hopefully, it will be on sale during the December season.
Okay, what about this reminds you of Silk Song?
The bells, they're a key component in one of the creatures that you fight.
All right, Bond, time to be the master of disguise again with that coat and...
Sure, that works out, I guess.
Shouldn't they recognize his... Oh, whatever. It's dark anyway.
I mean, remember, Blofeld didn't recognize Bond earlier, somehow.
And yet, I think it's implied that the German woman there immediately recognized him. Irma. We are really about to enjoy the sights and sounds of Switzerland in Christmas time, aren't we?
Again, advertisement.
Oh, please tell me there's a fight scene on the ice rink.
I don't think so, no.
Like, come on, you've had death ski racing, a shimmy up a cable car cable. Come on, you just gotta throw in the ice skate fight while you're at it. And of course, have everyone assume it's all part of the show.
Bear! Scene interrupting bear!
Oh, the bear took his picture! That, typically it's a cat that's used for jump scares, but, polar bear, I guess that's one way to change things up.
So weird. Well, that's weird. It shouldn't really be much of a polar bear because in Switzerland, I showcased in a scene previously, they do have brown and black bears going around.
I'm guessing, to be fair, it's for the whole winter aesthetic.
Probably. God, this editing.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, remember
Wow,
her?
you've been gone from like over half of
hour.
the movie. Jesus. Isn't this kind of, getting her in on the danger? Oh, by the way, honey, don't be mad, but I may have slept with 1 or 12 women. I guess, to be fair, they're technically not engaged yet, but I just feel like in a modern movie, this would totally be grounds for a liar revealed plot where, oh, suddenly then she hates Bond for his fraternizing ways. Please tell me this is not the only time we'll see Bond frolicking among the elements of Christmas in this franchise.
I don't remember. I know that the next movie also was released during the December season.
Wow, we haven't closed the door yet.
God damn it, Jimmy.
So she has a new interest in life now. That's good. Why do I feel like her development was kind of glossed over in this
I
movie?
was gonna say, keep your eyes on the road, please.
I mean, it's good she's no longer suicidal, but I feel like we kind of jumped all over the place with her. Like, we start off with her suicidal, then we have the deal with her as the Contessa, then she disappears from the film, and now she's better than ever. I don't know, maybe it's because of her feelings for Bond or whatnot.
Oh.
Okay,
No rest for the wicked.
It's not an explosion, but it's close enough to be like in Aquaman.
Alright, car chase.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was also thinking about. The streets during the mountain paths of Switzerland are not particularly good for a chase sequence. They tend to be very narrow and with a lot of curves.
I wonder if they'll be able to use that to their advantage.
Okay, getting Bond.
Was now the time for that?
That's not. Yeah, he has keep doing it. The whole having a kiss on the cheek as encouragement every once in a while. But like,
Is that the source of her power?
Love,
Look,
yes. You see, she's
I'm
a
gonna-
Star Sapphire Lantern. That's why.
I'm gonna take what I can get and say that for a movie done in 1969, having to showcase a situation of a woman driving without being the butt of a joke and say that she was bad at driving, that was surprisingly very progressive for the time.
Oh, and now we're in a derby race. Okay.
Like the unexpected crossover with a love bug.
Okay, a Herbie guest starring for a James Bond film would.
I mean,
legit be
Herbie has
amazing.
enough sentience that you could just stuff inside him, the gadgets from the Aston Martin, and it will be fine, I guess.
So somebody really wanted a racing in a James Bond movie. Now, mind you, maybe this is how it was in the book, in which case, I do wonder what Ian Fleming was on when he wrote this book, because holy cow.
You might have noticed that ever since Bond has started trying to escape the gear room, the movie almost has changed completely its tone and pace.
Like, I wonder, is like the whole last third of this movie going to be one giant climax? Because that's what it feels like.
We needed the shot of the guy upside down. This movie really is a cartoon sometimes.
Watch the plot just be that they actually win the race.
Welcome to the Wacky Races.
Well, to be fair, Dave, that Hanna-Barbera cartoon was inspired by the actual movie The Great Race. Yes, I know, potentially bad, Double Entendre movie, but it is a legitimately good fun of a movie about a car race chase, starring Jack Lemmon as the main villain, which inspired Dick Dastardly.
I'll have to see that movie at some point.
It also has a pre-Columbo
Well,
Peter Falk as his henchman.
And I guess that's Irma out of the movie, unless she. Oh wait, no, she survived that explosion.
So now
job.
we can say she survives this.
There you go.
Oh, what a shame. Okay, Bond, it's a woman who can do one-liners as well as you and drive a getaway car. Clearly this means she's the one for you, and oh, we're out of gas.
God damn, so much snow. Holy shit.
And out of
shit.
windshield wiper wash. I'm sure whoever lives there won't mind.
I mean,
Don't
to be
worry,
fair,
we'll press the fast forward button to get there.
to be fair, this is the Alps, so it's more of a case of if you're lost in a thunderstorm, they will understand, the idea of giving hospitality to people in need.
Fair enough.
There are some stereotypes about people who live in the mountain to be very isolated and not particularly kind to strangers and all, but usually communities in the Alps tend to be more welcoming because of the harsh climate.
Ooh, spooky.
The wind.
I
totally
love it. They put the extra bloom on her face.
They're totally gonna do it on the hay, aren't they?
Well, you know what they say, Drova, in order to, get the warm oneself up during the cold and all.
But don't you think the horses might mind?
Yeah.
Okay, camera, I get what you're trying to do, but the constant, beams passing by tend to be a bit distracting.
I guess I'll give her credit. She's a Bond love interest who can definitely seem to hold her own in an action scene so far.
I can tell, yeah, I do wonder how much of the original book is in there, because again, if you know anything about Ian Fleming, he was not charitable in the slightest against women. Like,
From what I understand, it could range based off of which books and whatnot you were reading. Like, from what I understand, Goldfinger was... Oh,
even Casino
apparently that
Royale,
was...
there are entire sequences where nothing is happening, Bond is having internal monologue on how much he hates women. It's almost a parody of itself at some point.
So Bond hates women, and that's why he makes love to them constantly?
Listen, Joe, I'm not the person who can explain to you how machismo works, okay?
Okay, so book-wise, On Her Majesty's Secret Service was one of the later books, so...
Maybe it was character development in universe for Bond. It would make sense considering how the movie ends, but we'll have to get there.
Right, yeah. I guess they really do want to sell the idea that this is going to be the woman that he falls in love with and ties the knot with. Oh, so Bond's actually committed to the idea. Despite the fact that he was, tantalized into having sex with the Angels of Death. But see, he doesn't want to do it before the wedding night. How noble of him.
Again, it's the double standards thing. If the movie bothered to not have him having, the just one night stand with the Angels of Death, they probably would have sold better the idea.
And the thing is, it wouldn't have even been a problem of...
Okay.
Okay, I guess they are going to do it after all.
Yeah, the whole
Well, it's not the new year
true,
yet, like he said, so...
I love it. We needed a scene of... We needed another scene of the horses.
Give it to Blofeld the fact that he managed to still be on track, with them, despite everything, did not give up. Alright, here we go,
And
round 2.
they made it further into the mountains. I wonder why they just didn't continue driving, though.
Maybe the car was, no more use to them and they prefer to just go directly skiing.
So, yeah, I guess the last run of this movie is basically going to be a climax. Dark Knight, eat your heart out.
It's also important
Basically,
that
an
Bond,
extended chase sequence.
It's also important that Bond warns the British authorities at the very least to warn everyone else about the Angels of Death arriving, because remember, they're people who are programmed to activate a specific point. If they manage to stop them beforehand, Blofeld's plan goes kaput. That's why Blofeld is determined of stopping Bond at all costs.
Hey.
Okay, I guess I'll give credit. The music sounds at least a bit more fitting for this skiing sequence.
Yeah, we also bothered to showcase that Tracy is not particularly bad at skiing too, so...
Honestly, it really just seems like she could be the one for Bond, essentially. Like, she can hold up her own in action. Shoot. You could turn Bond into basically a series about the exploits he does with his wife.
And I also appreciate that the movie is not even stopping to, point that, oh, Jesus. That actually is pretty gruesome. Whoa.
Hey!
Stage fatality.
Pretty much.
We were warned about yellow snow, but what about red?
He had a lot of guts.
Oh, boo.
What rating was this, Dweebs?
Oh, this is 1969, so the age rating system was a bit differently back then.
Mm-hmm.
But for now,
like, R probably not, but still, they could get away with that amount of, implied carnage.
PG.
Yeah, I figures this was before PG-13 was
Yeah.
a thing, so...
Oh, and now Blofeld wants to bury them in an avalanche.
Well, hey, think smarter, not harder.
Like, I kind of get it, because, sure, his guts were just kind of spilled everywhere, but it isn't the most graphic depiction, I suppose. Like, it is graphic, but, it could have been more gross, so...
It has the benefit that they mixed in the snow with the chunks, essentially.
It's diluted as shit.
Yeah, it's amazing how you could technically have guts, but, as long as they're colored enough...
That was actual stock footage of an actual avalanche.
Well done, Blofeld.
I don't think
killed your own men more than Bond.
I don't think the producers would have, and the filmmakers, and the movie itself would have gone down very well if they caused the actual avalanche.
Yeah, the Swiss authorities were like, yeah, go ahead, try to bury, a bunch of tourists in our mountains. Be my guest.
And then Tom Cruise in the future says, what? You wouldn't actually ski against an actual avalanche? Skill issue. And let's be honest, if it didn't endanger anyone else, he would insist on that.
I love Blofeld's face, super happy face.
All according to plan.
So, can we do it again?
No!
Wait, sorry, we missed the shot. Can we do that? Can we cause an avalanche again?
Just pulse him with a snowball.
Unfortunately, Tracy had been captured.
And he sees that in the reflection of the window he was looking
thinking
out of.
about. At least he got back to the UK.
London. Well, the United Nations has called you a fucking idiot.
This is what, like the 10th time? Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Well, you have to also to understand that this was actually a kind of a common tactic at the time this movie was made for a villain, super villain to do it. Everyone knows about the meme of Doctor Doom hiding behind diplomatic immunity, for getting away with his shit, even though 9 times out of 10 tends to not work, and it's a kind of a remnant of this. Even the Spider-Man and Superman crossover has him pulling that off. So yeah, compared to the previous Bond movies, if you may notice, despite the mission technically ending slightly successfully, it has a very, very bitter quality to it. While previous missions tended to, yes, be very difficult, but at the end of the day, did manage to, still result in triumph.
So yeah,
So
since
Bond's going rogue.
again.
This time it's for real, though.
Oh, good, the magic hour shot. Somewhere Michael Bay is having an orgasm and doesn't know why.
Oh, was he a kid at this time?
Not sure if he was even conceived. Let me check when he was born. Oh, actually, yes, he was 4 years old at this time. Was born 1965.
Huh, well, there you go.
Maybe he actually might have seen this movie as a kid, and that's how he got the inspiration.
It's possible. He has
Like
definitely
the
showcased a lot
shot
of
with
his
the helicopter
inspirations.
at the magic hour is like one of his biggest staple outside of the explosions. So
Really, dude?
if
Let me guess.
if Deji was here, he would react to groan at the cock arc.
Like, I was about to ask, is that what Blofeld's trying to do, essentially? Cuck Bond?
I guess.
You see, Mr. Bond, I've defeated you in the most ultimate way. I have made your lover my wife.
I cannot escape the NTR tag wherever I go. God damn it.
Okay, but why would you want to fuck either around horses or in the snow? Both of those sound terrible.
Apparently, it gets them in the mood. That said, the horses did not have any comment on the situation.
Well, he definitely get blue balls from the ice.
Oh, it's an old code, sir, but it checks out.
So yeah, since the account is dubbed over, did you say you mind his Italian pronunciation?
No, the pronunciation is technically fine. It just has the thick accent that makes you say, "Oh yeah, the Italian is not super." I get the idea it was just directed to sound this way, considering the actor is actually Italian.
Oh, Blofeld falling for the okie doke. Jesus. The leader of Spectre, done in by his lustful ways. He really can't talk about anybody else who fails to kill Bond after this.
Yep, they'll buy that. It's like, okay, then you got passengers. That makes it okay. Bye.
Suckers.
Oh, we don't want bad press.
The Swiss Air Force, ladies and gentlemen.
As a reminder, this is supposed to be the country that, ever since its foundation, made an oath to stay neutral in conflicts. That has
That's
kept
the
it until
irony.
now.
That's the irony. Blofeld's using it to wage war. Also, yes, please take me to the Alpine room. That puts me much more in the mood, especially if there's an escape hatch.
Also, if you know anything about history, why it is true what I just said about the neutrality of Switzerland was still has always been notoriously used to hide treasures and political prisoners with internal schemes. So, if anything, a Bond story set in its territory is the natural conclusion.
Yep. What a beautiful view to kill.
We're not there yet.
Everyone, fire on Tyrell. What? No, I mean Blofeld. Yeah, Diana Riggs' more recent work was playing Alina Tyrell in Game of Thrones.
Also, I love it. Similar to the previous movie, once again, the grenades tend to be the MVP of the arsenal. I forgot, Lips, have you ever played any of the 007 games?
I played a couple.
Like, do you get grenades in a couple of them?
That I don't remember.
Okay.
Although, who knows? Maybe in First Light we might get some.
I get the idea, maybe not, considering, yes, you might get some kind of arsenal, but not super over the top for the license to kill sequences. Again, if the state of play was anything to go by, I get the idea they are just basically tacked on to give fans of shooters something to care instead of just stealth.
Hey, we get the Bond theme.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's not doing that bad a job fighting.
I know.
It's
But keep in mind, she already knocked out one of the guys anyway.
It's kind of like how one of the Bond girls in Thunderball was the one who managed to kill Largo at the end.
Plus, yeah, that Diana Rigg was in the Avengers.
Dang, she just ripped him right through the metal grates.
I think it was wooden, but yeah.
Still very thin.
Yeah, no, like,
Bond, for fuck's sake.
Hey, let him have fun on the job. Ooh.
To be fair,
What was that meant to be anyway?
like a decoration on the wall, but to be fair, that was screaming to be an accident in waiting.
Blofeld has some weird design choices. No, I feel like she could do a bit more. Seemed like she was kicking butt.
She was actually doing really well.
Bond was like, you're selling him a screen time.
This is my movie.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, wait a minute, the Bond theme's playing now, and you're not Bond. But you just barely become Bond. Shut up.
Oh, they blew up the cable car. Forgot which MST3K movie that they covered was. There was a blatant, copycat of Bond movies. So the running gag was them trying the crew of the Saturday Night Love. The running gag was they were trying to hum the Bond theme at every possible occasion, but never working about it. Alright, the photos about the specific locations where the Angels of Death are sent.
Oh.
God damn it.
Failed a spot check there.
Oh yeah, I forgot Diana Rigg was also in The Great Muppet Caper.
Oh, wow.
One minute.
It's always a countdown. Which, to be fair, is meant to give him time to escape as well.
Oh, 5 minutes, okay.
Ah.
To be fair, yes, it was a 12 quadrant clock, so it makes sense.
Shit.
Gotta give him credit. Blofeld's seemingly physically capable too. I know he was doing that to keep her safe, but seriously, dude.
Yeah,
Not cool.
that'll go down well today. I know a way to stop her from doing something drastic. I'll punch her in the face.
Classic woman hysteria, am I right, fellas?
So, interestingly enough, the character of Tracy apparently came from inspiration from Ian Fleming's wartime romance with Muriel Wright, whom he met while skating in Kitzbühel.
So yeah, Blofeld once again has his operation ruined and is on the run. So what's his secret card in this case? The bobsled, of course.
Okay, how's he gonna chase after him?
Well, with another bobsled, duh.
Oh, that's convenient.
In case you're wondering, no, it's not a situation like a roller coaster where there has to be a distance between them. If you're practical enough in maneuvering a bobsled, you can gain speed in order to, reach another one.
And sometimes even pass it.
That's why there are races about those two. There was a biopic movie about how a team of Jamaicans actually managed to become, bobsled, drivers for the Olympics. I haven't seen it in a while. I don't know, how accurate or, tasteful it is.
Ow.
Can't see shit.
Yeah, okay, Blofeld, yeah, whoops.
Idiot.
I was gonna say...
Really? No way this is how it ends.
The leader of Spectre, everyone.
Okay.
Throw it, you fool!
Up. And
I
Bond
love
died.
how the stuntman or a puppet that they used was throwing itself like a ragdoll too many times.
Back to the Looney Tunes stuff.
Okay,
I
now
was just gonna say, I was gonna say earlier, you better hope you don't hit a bomb or anything, otherwise she'll drop the grenade, and lo and behold.
now we're in Indiana Jones territory.
I knew it would come down to a fist fight between you and
Okay.
me, Mr. Bond.
Still though, this editing quick cut to things that don't belong just for the sake of disorienting the audience, that's just no.
The editing in this movie is so something.
It's not on the level of Resident Evil, the final chapter, but the thought process behind it is similar, I will argue.
I say you're right, Teal. Like the first 2/3 of this movie, it goes at a relatively moderate pace, but as soon as we get to the hijinks with the gears and whatnot, the movie just goes off the rails.
It wakes up. Like, oh shit,
Yeah.
we need to do something. Go, go, go.
Yeah, it pretty much wakes up and takes its whole shot of wait.
He survived that, by the way.
Oh.
Or did he? Supposedly that seems to imply death.
No, Blofeld shows up in future movies.
Well, I know,
Well,
but I mean, they seem to imply that he's dead from that, which, okay, I'll admit, even I wouldn't buy that since that seems way too anticlimactic.
Of course,
Oh,
we're in this
a
week, so
dog.
we need the stereotype of the Saint Bernard that rescues you. They're so adorable. So yeah, remember the ring that they saw during the montage?
Wow, they actually got married.
They tied the knot and
Yep.
everything.
Well, I guess this is it, guys. Bond's finally settling down for real.
And hey, not to mention here, in this film, the lack of gadgets.
Yeah, we even lacked the sequence where Q wanted to
I mean,
show his
Q's
new
there, he's in the movie.
We did had a couple of them, like the way he deciphered the code of the safe towards the beginning, but that was kind of it. Like I said, in a couple of ways, this wants to be an unconventional Bond movie. Oh, yes, quite. Is Q suggesting that he can pass Viagra to Bond or something? I don't know how to interpret that.
Well, Bond, you are getting up there in ages and whatnot. Oh, don't worry, I'll evolve into Pierce Brosnan and then I'll be young all over again.
Well, first we need to pass through Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton, so...
Or Sean Connery again first.
Yes.
And
yeah,
hey,
he doesn't want the money.
And hey, if we count Never Say Never...
So yeah, overall, a good ending at the end of the day.
All's well that ends well.
So why aren't the credits rolling?
Yeah, we've got 4 minutes left.
Well, obviously it's for one more makeout scene between Bond and his new wife.
Oh.
Oh. Well, now. A start?
Please,
6 kids is a start?
Don't let the gene pool be contaminated with more Bond.
Well, don't you see? James Bond Jr., James Bond III, Jill Bond. Place to stop, but okay. Romantic.
Inconceivably.
But you know,
In
it's a truly nice love story. You know, he met her when she was about to take her life, essentially, and finally he helped her see a new lease on life, just in time for it to be taken. God damn it!
It's literally a mafia hit.
Not have shit.
yeah,
Yeah. Surprisingly, we end the movie on a very tragic note. Like, I get what they were trying to do, but god damn it, you showcase, a very competent female character and one that could actually be standing with Bond, but because status quo be damned, gotta need to fridge the character.
to be fair, this actually prompts the best bit of acting from Lazenby.
And keep in mind that, on one hand, this event will be remembered, not all the time, but from time to time, Bond will actually visit her grave, so we're not forgetting that happened. On the other, if I recall correctly, he starts to be a womanizer from the next movie already.
Okay, so book-wise, believe it or not, this leads into You Only Live Twice, actually, believe it or not. And, okay, the stuff that happens in the book version is wild. Basically, with the castle, he essentially kills Blofeld and escapes, but he's left so traumatized by everything that he becomes amnesic and lives as a Japanese fisherman until Russians later come and brainwash him in time for the man with the golden gun.
Fine time to throw in the Bond movie. The Bond movie theme tune. Bond's wife is dead.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
So again, I gotta love the irony that movie-wise this comes after You Only Live Twice, whereas book-wise this came right before You Only Live Twice. And again, in the book version, the trauma causes him to think he's Japanese from amnesia and later get brainwashed by Russians.
I love that of the agents of death, only a couple had a name, the other were defined by their nationality.
Wow,
yeah.
That's
James Bond, we're turning diamonds are forever.
Yeah. One thing I should mention real quickly about the cast before I forget. James Bree we saw in the cast here, but he was in the same story as Bernard Horsfall. He was in the games as the security chief. Doctor Who, I mean.
So yeah, Blofeld's made it really personal now.
To mention, he got the last laugh.
Damn, I mean, again, for a movie of the 60s, that's pretty ballsy. If I recall correctly, there was even sometimes a rule against how much evil could be allowed to win in a movie or something in this time of filming or whatnot.
I don't remember.
That may have been the 30s or whatnot, but regardless, though, wow. And yeah, like you said, ironically, Lazenby does finally get to really show off his acting chops when he, has to show Bond living with the fact that his wife is dead. Although, like Dwibs mentioned, followed closely after the iconic Bond theme suddenly just booming in, dang.
In case you're wondering, Bond will get his revenge against Blofeld in the next movie, but don't set your expectation too high.
Oh boy. Well, again, based off of how crazy the book synopsises are, I have to wonder if it's still better than Bond self-traumatizing to a point where he thinks he's Japanese and then gets brainwashed into being a Russian sleeper agent in time for the man with the golden gun. Jesus.
Alright, final thoughts, I guess. Dweebs.
I think this film overall is solid enough, with almost all the cast being really good in their roles, minus the main lead, Lazenby. He's certainly got the physicality down, the fight scenes and that, but his acting, aside from the very end scene, leaves a lot to be desired. He sounds very wooden, like he certainly could tell he'd never properly acted before. I do like the musical score. I do think that the theme tune is appropriate enough for a chase scene. One of the main issues of the movie, though, unfortunately, is the editing. Okay, I can definitely tell you, John Glenn does get better with the editing later on, and his directing as well. But about what Tio said, yeah, if you're expecting Diamonds of Forever to be a gritty revenge story, don't.
Basically, you know how John Wick 2 starts with wrapping things up with the plot threads from the first movie? It's kind of like that.
So get this, you know the scene with Tracy being killed? That was actually originally supposed to be the start of the next movie, but apparently with George Lazenby leaving the role, the scene was added on to be part of Her Majesty's Secret Service. So originally the ending was supposed to be happy to lull you into a false sense of security, but nope. Ended up with her dying, essentially, which is sort of fitting since, okay, you know how I mentioned how she was based off of Ian Fleming's wartime romance with Muriel Wright? Well, yeah, it turned out Muriel Wright died in her London flat in 1944 from a bombing raid during the Blitz, and Fleming's grief over that is reflected in Tracy's own unexpected death and its effect on Bond. So I will give him some credit. I don't think it's simply fridging, or at the very least, it's not like, hack writing the fridging.
Well, maybe it's not the intent. And remember, at this point in time, it was viewed fairly common to do this kind of practice. It's just about noticing the trend more than anything.
Anything else, Wibs?
No, not really. Solid movie. Shame about the letdown of the quality of the film that came after it.
I have a question, specifically a question for you, Dweeb's opinion to ask. Just in regards to the movie, it's one opinion that I might have. Leaving outside how it's related to the movie in question, would you believe that this title of the movie would have worked better to be put for the first, Bond movie? Because taking outside of at least personally to me, taking outside of the fact that arguably this title makes no sense in relation. The others have some kind of degree, but this is very generic.
Well, they mention it a lot in dialogue.
I guess, but when you put it down, if you ask me, Her Majesty's Secret Service kind of works well as an introductory type of title for a saga about a British spy agent. So I wanted
and you think that maybe
taking also outside of it that that also the book was called, and this is the direct adaptation of it.
I think the title in here works perfectly fine.
Well, what I was asking is, would you have had having carte blanche and everything? Would you believe it would have worked better to put the title for the first Bond movie instead of just being Doctor No?
Nah.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. All right, Jova.
Oh, one more thing, apparently. The movie never goes into detail on why she was going to commit suicide at the start, but the book apparently does that. Okay, apparently she had actually married into Italian nobility, essentially, and unfortunately, after the divorce, essentially, she had a child, but the child died from spinal meningitis, essentially.
Well, I don't think it goes into detail. I think the father, towards the beginning, explains that to Bond when he says that he wants him to marry her, I think.
This is so grim, considering how silly this movie is.
That's Bond for you, Shiroi. It can be extremely dark 1 minute and then silly the next, essentially, which, honestly, I feel like it's the way to do Bond. It's kind of like Resident Evil. Horrifying, but also corny, essentially. It's that level of balance that keeps it being what it is, and from what I hear, apparently Quantum of Solace missed the memo and just decided to focus on being grimdark.
Well, but I do agree with Shiri that, so far, up until this point, this is definitely the movie that is more bitter, especially towards the end. Yes, it has the weird camp stuff happening, like with the skis chasing sequences, but it also has some more dramatic, scenes and a lot of psychological drama going on, which was not lacking, but not present in the previous movies.
That is true. Which, yeah, I will. Okay, starting with the positives here. This movie, I feel, really does showcase some ballsy moves, essentially. It shows that, yes, even the Bond girl who seemed like she made it through all the action, and she could put up a fight enough to the point where it really seemed like she was the one for Bond, even she can die. Now, again, how one may feel about that in the long, grand scheme of things, it might be up to play. Like, I'll admit, if I really did have to have her killed off, I would have at least liked to have seen her alive for a movie or two after getting married, if only because power couple Bond seems actually like a pretty cool move, essentially. But, unfortunately, status quo be God. Like, I'll just say this. I get why a status quo to a franchise can be a thing, it helps give it structure and purpose, but I do think that there are times where a franchise should be willing to change some things up. Simpsons. Especially after such a while. But no, back to the positives here. I feel like if you can enjoy this movie as a popcorn flick, you will love the intense action. And hey, it actually does have interesting things to say about Bond as a character and whatnot. Tracy is, again, legit a prominent love interest, and while she does disappear from a good chunk of the movie, when she comes back, she is all in there on the action and helps save Bond's life on a few times. Alright, and also the skiing stuff is wonderfully over the top, and I do appreciate the tragedy of the death here. That being said, with the positives mostly out of the way here, let's talk about the problems, most notably George Lazenby. Look, when I first heard about his circumstances, I felt sorry for the guy. Hearing about he was kind of a prick behind the scenes, I feel a bit less sorry for him, but still, I get it. He wasn't brought in with the most ideal circumstances. Sadly, that does not change the fact that there's something about him that just feels off as Bond. Like, he's got the physicality and the fighting sense to it, but I don't know, something about his form, his voice, the way he moves just feels off compared to Connery. And again, maybe that is due from, most of these movies being Bond films up to that point. Mind you, as somebody who has maybe not seen other full Bond movies, but is at least familiar with other guys being Bond, I don't think it had to be a problem, but just Lazenby may not have been the best man for the task, essentially. Maybe he could have done better with more movies, but as we all know, that didn't happen. Like, he can act, especially at certain moments, which really do call for it, but at the end of the day, he is sadly the weakest link in this movie, essentially. And the pacing. Okay, the pacing unfortunately starts pretty slow for a good chunk of the movie, essentially. Now, when the action finally kicks in, oh boy does it kick in, but then it can hit you with a sense of whiplash when the last third basically turns into one giant climax. Holy cow. And the editing. Okay, I'm gonna say it, the editing can be hit or miss. Sadly, it feels more like a miss with the frantic jump cuts, the weird slow motion sequences, and, well, yeah, the jump cuts. Or just how stuff can go herky-jerk here and there. Again, I'm hoping this guy got better with time, and that's why he was later rewarded as director, because, off of just this editing job, I'm not seeing it. At the end of the day, this is not what I would call the best Bond film so far, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it, essentially. Like, there are good things with the story, there are great action scenes, and I can see why this is one of the iconic ones, especially since Bond supposedly settles down now and sadly has that ripped away from him, essentially. The problem is just that, well, the main actor does not sell it as well. And while the movie does get pretty good, you do have to slog for a lot of earlier movie which doesn't feel as well crafted, sadly. That being said, I do feel like it's definitely a movie you should check out, especially if you're trying to look at the comprehensive plot of the original Bond film timeline. So, hey, it is what it is with all the good, the bad, the ugly, the sweet, but of course, the Christmas. Because holy cow, do they dedicate their justification to it being a Christmas film. Shiroi.
So that was kind of messy, honestly. I don't know, might be my least favorite so far, I think.
Really?
It's-
Even more than Thunderball?
Well, I mean, for this one, it's mostly really slow. It kind of drags quite a bit. The second half picks up so much, and it wouldn't be a problem if it weren't for the editing that makes the movie just very difficult to look at. The grimness, like, for it wasn't actually an issue. It's actually quite different for one of these. I feel like in the time they spent on the first half, they could have, used some more of the book stuff you already talked about. I don't think the movie loses too much from it. I don't know. I just thought like this was a very weird one to just sit through. I don't know. I think that's it from me for this.
Anyway, as for me, this was a mess, I have to agree. On one hand, he tries to do something new with the formula, probably in order to also reflect the change of the main character's actor, in order to say something new about it, to spice things up. And in some cases, it leads to an interesting scenario. It's also a direct continuation from the previous movie, which, as the Bond franchise seems to slowly trying to distance from the anthological format and be more tight with its continuity, bridging the three movies, Thunderball, you only live twice, and this into a more cohesive type of narrative, even with the characters having been played by different actors. On the other, there's the fact that the movie is too silly at a couple of times, and potentially too bleak in others. It tries to reach a middle ground between these two, but it causes a big shift at the two-thirds mark, like we noted. And this is not helped, as, me and Shiri and everyone else have said, about the editing. I could still follow the movie, but it was way too distracting for its own good, and it could have been worded better. It's clearly there to mask about bad directing, because, like I said, one of the things that it does is to leave evidence still about the characters changing position in between shots, meaning that they're using alternate takes, meaning that the takes that they filmed were not particularly good, and they had to collage together the best with what they had. In other cases, that's kind of sloppy, unfortunately. I get it, this is just like a early debut of this director who had worked as editor beforehand. But man, it's very rough in hindsight, admittedly.
How much of this do you think is sort of a result of them maybe having to scramble after Sean Connery left to tailor this into something?
I still believe that the movie was built, with the formula in mind, and they genuinely believe that even if it wasn't Sean Connery, it would have still worked in the end, because it wasn't the actor who made James Bond, but the way it was written, which I do agree to an extent. This movie would have not been magically improved if it was Sean Connery in the role, I have to say. Although, I have to say, like Dweebs and the others have said, George Limp Biscuit here tends to not do that many favors. I wouldn't have minded potentially seeing different more movies with this acting improved, or at least that's what I would say if it wasn't for all the shit that happened behind the scenes. In hindsight, it was kind of a blessing in disguise that he left after this, honestly. I already expressed how I feel about the death of Trucy at the very end. Yes, it was kind of the common thing to do, but it showcased how disposable female characters were for these kind of franchises. It's kind of like the equivalent of just imagine for a second that DBZ never happened, and the end of Dragon Ball OG ended still with Goku and Chi-Chi getting married, but on their way to their home, Piccolo shows up out of nowhere and Macaco-san pulls her out of nowhere. That's kind of what it feels like. too much gratuitous for its own good, to me.
Like a lot of our soap operas, they can't have a wedding without someone dying horrifically. It's a problem.
Bonus points if somebody's hiding a gun in like one of the bouquets or something.
My point being, they showcased how competent Tracy was in the role, and they had no real reason to do so. You have to remember that this was still 1969 in a time period where, the average movie or series was treating female characters in a still in a disposable way, but more like in a case of, at best, the bridge bunny trope, as in good for telecommunication, and that was kind of it. Yes, the Avenger series was a thing, but there was a lot of talking in that and not that much action because it was centered around solving things in a more diplomatic kind of way. I bothered to check a few episodes to see. So this was kind of a shake-up of, again, another thing of a shake-up of the status quo. So that kind of makes her death at the end more frustrating. Okay, taking aside what we know about what you said about Ian Fleming and the fact that it was based on a real-life event that he channeled throughout the movie, throughout the book.
And she does. Yeah. And Tracy does die in the end of the book version too.
Because Lips told us that this is one of the more accurate adaptations, so I believe that. If you truly wanted to have the character, not to show up that regular in future movies, just say that, she embraced also the life of MI6 and she was on different missions, in the meantime. They don't necessarily have to be together, but they don't necessarily have to have also the whole cliche about, I'm retiring because I'm having a married life and all.
But you see, Tio, then we couldn't have Bond sleeping with other women, otherwise that might be immoral.
Yeah, I guess there's that too, unfortunately. It's overall a mess, like I said. There is
It's
a
like
gem of potentially interesting storytelling with the characters.
It's like I've said, status quo being God is one of the most frustrating elements in media. I get why status quo is important, but I don't think it should come at the cost of stagnating a franchise and pretty much keeping you from being able to truly do anything new. And like I said, I would have at least liked to have seen one or two movies with them as like a power couple Bond.
Not to mention, you know me, I normally am one of the people who actually try to stick around to have as much of an accurate adaptation as possible, believing that a different media should not necessarily scare someone into try to do something different. But it's pretty clear that the movies so far have been doing something different just already in the way the order where they were adapted. So really, trying to be accurate for this particular plot point feels something that they could have bended if they wanted to be willing. But again, we already knew this was planned to be potentially the opening scene of the next movie, which honestly probably would have pissed off more because it would imply that this is not the ending and then immediately have to, break that at the beginning of the next. So, again, it's a mess. At the end of the day, this movie is a mess. There are parts that are enjoyable, but I still have to stand what I said during You Only Did Twice. So far, Thunderbolt has still held up a bit more in my eyes, so far as the last major good Bond movie until now. Not to say that we're in complete decline, but definitely not on the same level. We have to see if things will improve with Diamonds Are Forever whenever we get to it. But is instead for our next destination, we still remain in British territory, if I understand correctly, although it is something that I watched not that much about, but this will be able to elucidate us as we venture to the command post of the Thunderbirds force. So we'll see you next time for the 60s Thunderbirds movie. Yeah.
Into the skies.